Welcome, boardwalkers, to my art studio. I'm CB Mac, and on this channel you'll find tutorials of plein air painting with watercolors, gouache, ink, graphite, charcoal, color pencils, and sometimes I do an occasional art supply review. In today's tutorial, I thought we would check out how these homemade watercolor brushes that we made last time work and what the results would be with actually using them for watercolor painting. And remember, these were the brushes we made with my own hair. And then last week we used this B&J, the Master's Brush Cleaner and Preservative, to make sure they would hold a nice straight point. And as you can see, they're pretty tough and hard right now. And we especially wanted to use the brush cleaner preservative on this one to make sure that the bristles stayed straight. So, let's get started and see how these work. I'm first going to take the brushes and rinse them in this jar of warm water to make sure they loosen up and get all that brush preservative out of it, because we don't want any of that in our painting. That is standing out nice and straight compared to the curliness it was last time. I don't know if you guys remember how curly that was last time when we did it. I'll link the video of us making these the last time. I'm going to slip this paper towel down here to hold these. And I'm just going to run these brushes. I don't have to worry about the water running into the ferrule on these. I do have to worry that they may loosen up the glue, but right now they seem to be doing pretty good. Hold this up so you guys can see how the brushes release the stuff, the cleaner in it. So nice and loose. All right, so we've got my mop. We've got my two number 12 brushes. We've got, this one looks like a flat almost. Yeah, this one's the one that looks like the flat. It's coming out to a nice thin little flat. We had those two number 12 rounds, and this is going to be a number 8 round equivalent. And then we have our script liner rigger brush that we made. And we're just going to test these out in my Arteza black metal 48 half cans. You'll have to excuse Boone. Something's aggravated him. He's barking in the background here. But as I was saying, our Arteza 48 half pan, it came empty, and I have filled it up with my professional watercolors, the MaimariBlus, tube paints, and then these 2 rows here are the Winsor Newton. Okay, the Winsor Newton Cotman Watercolors are in these last 2 rows here. If you're enjoying this video, could I ask you to please subscribe to my channel, tap the thumbs up, like button, share this video, and tap that bell icon to receive notifications for my upcoming videos. It makes a huge difference in the growth and the support of my art channel. And I thank the 26 subscribers that I have so far. I really appreciate your support in my channel. So, let's wet up these colors. Now, these brushes probably will not fit real well in not all of them, especially the mop, in my watercolors here. A little dropper bottle. Okay. And I'm going to start with this script liner brush. And let's see what we can get in the way of marks with the script liner brush. I need to add a little more watercolor to it. The bristles, as you can see, are really flimsy. So they're really, really soft. Let's see if we're getting any paint on that. We are getting some paint on that. Okay. So let's run this across the bridge. And I'm using my Canson XL watercolor paper from my wire-bound sketchbook. I've just pulled out a few pages and loosely clipped them up here on my board, on my landscape clipboard. We get a nice, really thin, and as you can see, this holds a lot of watercolor. The bristles are really super thin though. And my watercolor has dried out with all the heat that we have had here. So I can get some marks. Some really good marks, really thin marks with these watercolor brush. Now I'm wondering if I trim this maybe half the size that it is, if I'd get some better control with these bristles. And I might do that at a later time. But that's the script liner. Let's see if we can get any. Let me see if I can make any lettering. We got a good, well, I can make some good lettering with it. And it's still holding quite a bit of watercolor. So that turned out to be a really cool thing. I'm going to rinse that out in this water with the preservative stuff in it. And we'll set that one to the side. That's my little script liner. Okay. The next one to try is this, I call it a flat because I've put the bristles in to where it would be kind of like a flat. And it looks like it might be a 1/4 inch flat, maybe. Let's see what marks we can get with this one. And again, those bristles are really flimsy. But it seems to be holding quite a bit of water. So, let's run this one. It makes a really nice thicker line. And probably if I trim this one again, half the size it is, it would probably make a better control with the hair. But for the experiment, it does make a really nice line. So I'm pretty pleased with that one too. Alright, that's my 1/4 inch flat. My number 8 round brush. This was equivalent to our number 8 round brush. So I tried this brush a couple of days after we had made them. I tried this one on a painting of a tulip, and I will show you that at the end of the video here, toward the end of the video here. Let's go into some red with this one. I've got a nice bit of paint on this one. It makes a nice line. Now, I'm wondering, how thin can we go? Oh, I got some extra hair or fur on that. Let's dab this one and see how thin we can go. Get a pretty thin line. I don't know if you're seeing that real well on the video. See if I can get some more paint on there. It kind of tapers to a thin line. But now if I press it out, it will go pretty wide. I can kind of get a thin line going with the edge of it. If I just barely press down on it, I can get a thin line. So that's my number 8 brush. And I probably could trim this one down even more to get more control with it. All right, let's try this bigger number 12. This one's kind of cut into a round brush. These were really hard to cut. So that is an issue with some of these brushes. See, because I can mold it into a round tip. So let's see what we get with this one. Let's go with some yellow. Let's see. And yep, our tip is messed up again. These really don't have a lot of control with the bristles being so soft. But I can spread a lot of paint with this. I have to reform my tips. It's not like the Princeton Neptune brushes. It's a little softer than those, and it's definitely not the firmness that I like of the Princeton Aqua Elites. Those are my... Let's see if with this tip if we can get a... Ooh, I can get a thin line. Turn the brush to keep that continued line. But I can get a thin line with this one. Takes a lot of patience and that. So there's that one. That one back to a nice tip. All right, now we've got this. The difference between these is the amount of hair in it. This one's tapered to a round, and this one is, I tried to taper this one to a round, but it's more like a mop. So let's try this one as a round and see what marks we can get. Before I do that, let me remove some of this paper here. Take these clips off my landscape fabric, my landscape clipboard here. All these binder clips. Oh, I got a loose hair on there. And a loose hair on that one. And we'll set that over here to the side for a moment and let that one to continue drying. And we'll start with another piece of paper here. This is not how I normally clip down my papers when I'm painting. I normally tape them down. But for this trial run of my brushes, I thought we'd just these down and see how they work. If they would work real well. Let me move this one over here. Put this bigger one down here to hold this better. Yeah, a little more secure. And then put this one up here. All right, and we'll go back to this number 12 round, and we'll see if I can get a point on it. It looks like it's got enough water in it. You dip it in this color, and we'll see how well this one paints. And yes, we don't have control of the paint real well because the hair is really loose and soft, but I can get a really thin point if I just use the edge of the brush. If I push all the way down on the brush, let's put some more water in that and see if we can. I can spread a little bit of the watercolor. It looks like we've run out of watercolor. Let me see if I can get it to spread around here. Probably could cut these tips a little bit more to have a little bit more control. But I can spread a wash. With that one. Okay. And then for our last brush, we've got this giant mop, and this giant mop is going to probably hold a ton of water. Yeah. Let me show you. See how those bristles flare out? So that will hold a ton of water. This would be for like a super large painting. Let me wring that out. Ooh, yeah. Hear that? That's got a lot of water in it. A lot of water. Let's see what I can use. Let's use one of these blues. Oh yeah, I might get a little blue here. Get a little more water in that. And let's see what kind of definitely could use a trim on this one. But a mop is it does lay down the color nice. But you can see how it's curling back the way it was when we first made it. It was one of those curly. definitely would have to trim this one to get any kind of fine line. But it does work as a mop. Would definitely have to trim these down a little bit smaller and shorter. And we may try that, and I may do another video, and we may redo these again. May retry painting with these again if I so. And there's that tip where I tried to trim it. Okay, so during filming, my camera quit, and as you see here, I've painted a tulip with this number 8 round brush. I'm going to try and paint that again so you guys can see on camera how well this brush works. So let me dip this into my red again. And let's see if I can, real quick here, repaint us a tulip. With this brush. And like I was saying with that big brush, in the comments below, if you want to see another video where I have cut down these bristles a little shorter and have me paint again with these brushes and try them with the bristles a little bit shorter, by all means in the comments put it down that you would like for me to do that, and I will make a video on that, make another video, and we'll try this experiment again. I've got my red, my orange. Let me get some yellow and see if we can loosen this paint up some. Blend this a little bit. It's a bit heavy on my pigment there, but I am liking how this little number 8 brush works, and I'm enjoying that little liner brush, using it. Let's see if we can dip my paint brush in this green and do a thin stem this time. A little more water on that brush. Blend that out. And let's see if we can get this leaf going again. And there's not a whole lot of control on this brush. Like my Princeton, like I said, like my Princeton Neptune brushes, which are also soft, but this homemade brush is a lot softer than the Princeton Neptune brush. And it's really softer than the Aqua Elites. The Aqua Elites are my favorite. I like a little bit firmer brush. But I am liking how these homemade paintbrushes are working. Surprisingly, I can paint with them. So there you have it, a third tulip to go with the tulip that I did just a few moments ago when my camera cut out. And then this tulip that I did about a couple days ago. I tried playing with the brushes before filming today. And I've got the extra texture and detail on here because I let the watercolor dry and then came back in with the liner brush to add some streaks and textures in there. But I'm pretty pleased with these watercolor paint brushes. They're not something that I would use all the time, but they are something fun to play around with and experiment with and see if you could make these nice marks and textures with these brushes. So once again, in the video description, I will put the links for the B&J, the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preservative. I'll put a link for this Arteza 45 Empty Half Pans palette for you. And what that means is that I'm awarded a small commission from Amazon for purchases made through them at no additional cost to you. And if you'd like to see a second video where I have taken the time to trim these down again to make them a little more easier to control on these bigger brushes, post a comment in the bottom there, or any other questions you'd like. I do read each and every one of the comments and questions, and although I can't reply to every single comment, I will try to answer every question. There'll also be links where you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Goodbye for now.